Welcome to a very cold edition of Brit and Poland. So I'm talking to you from Warsaw, and this has been, so far in my 8 years in this country, the coldest, most prolonged winter I have seen. When I first got here in 2018, it was kind of refreshing. I got off the plane, there was snow everywhere. I was like, oh, they have proper winters in Poland. And yeah, there would be the occasional dip to -20, but overall, you get used to it. You wrap up warm, it's fine. But this winter, well, I came back in December, and ever since then, there has been snow on the ground. Temperatures have been consistently in the negatives. Warsaw has successfully gaslit me into thinking that 0 degrees is warm. That's a problem. And yeah, the mood in my community, well, I think a lot of people have become a bit depressed. They're not going out so much, and to be honest, I don't blame them. It's not only the cold that you have to face, but it's slippery everywhere. Warsaw's pretty good with putting down sand or whatever, but I still have to watch every step I take. Yesterday I almost slipped on the way back from the shops. Almost put my back out. I felt old. I guess I am getting a bit older now. But yes, the cold is getting to you. When you find yourself going through doom loops and binge watching stuff about Jeffrey Epstein to stay entertained, you know that there's an issue. And yeah, I realize how scary a topic that is, and we're not going to discuss that here. I was considering doing a whole video about crazy conspiracy theories and deep rabbit holes that I'm falling into right now, but no, I'm not going to go down that way. But yeah, certainly it's not the coldest winter in Poland's history. You've got some areas around the late 1920s, 1940s, 1960s, which had long, prolonged cold snaps. I think the lowest recorded temperature is about -42 degrees, which was in the mountains. So yeah, but even in the cities, I think only recently, somewhere like Siedlce or something like that, recorded -35. It hasn't been quite that bad, but yeah, it's definitely a case you go outside, if you're not wearing gloves, it can feel pretty bad. I felt brave enough to come out today because it's only like -1, -2, so this is like summer for us right now. And the thing is, Polish winters, they are depressing. You don't see the sun for days, your energy levels go down, and well, when you have white everywhere, at least it feels a bit brighter, but you're definitely lacking in something, you know. But this video isn't all about doom and gloom. It's to show that even though it's a challenging time in Poland, Poland can still be beautiful at this time of year. And we're going to talk about the ways that Polish people combat this. And they have quite a few. Let's say they've learned to adapt over the years, and even the government is on board with many schemes to help people that would otherwise feel a bit isolated and hopeless in this time. So let's talk about some of the beautiful places. One thing to remember is, although Poland is a challenge during this kind of weather, it is also one of the most beautiful times of year. for many people. And we're going to talk about the solutions in part 3, but one of the solutions that people have is travel. Sure, a lot of them escape to warmer countries, especially along the Mediterranean. You can get cheap flights from here. But a lot of people will go to the mountains. I myself have had several winter excursions in the mountains, whether it be that last dash before Christmas in December, or that let's escape everything mood in January. February and March can also be snowy, but not always. But Poland definitely has many different experiences for people. And I guess you can say Poland is a land of many faces, because when you go to different parts of Poland at different times of year, you have very different experiences. So going to the mountains in the winter is sure a bit of a flex. It's not the easiest of things to do, but it can be one of the most rewarding. One cool thing you're seeing with the frozen waters, people are getting more adventurous. So we saw the Vistula largely freeze up this year, which first time I've seen that. Largely thawed now, sadly, so I didn't quite get the shot I wanted. But in the parks, you see people skating on the frozen lakes and ponds, or just walking across. I know in Gdansk, is it on the Mokrava, people have been skating on that. It's a sign of bravery or foolishness, depending on how you want to look at it. But when you see everything covered in snow, I'm sure there'll be some person that says it's racist. Maybe David Lammy, I can imagine that. But personally, I think the place looks beautiful, covered in white. And it does give you that whole different perspective about Poland. So yeah, for sure, if you're thinking about traveling to Poland, choose your place wisely, because even in those winter times, you can find a lot of beauty around. And yeah, but let's talk about some of the more practical ways that people choose to survive winter in Poland. And let's go to Old Town, perhaps where they do it best. So let's talk about how people in Poland combat this icy deluge. It's not always like this, of course, but when it does hit, you've got to be prepared. So the first most important thing is having the right clothing. One good thing about Polish winters is they're not humid like the UK ones. You know, you tend to, you don't feel wet. So as long as you're wearing the right layers, then actually you can feel quite warm. Like it's -1 today. I'm just in a fleece, nice jacket, and yeah, some boots, thick socks, nice and cozy. But you can see one of the big secret weapons that Polish people deploy at this time of year in the cities, in the towns. You have lights everywhere. And I'm going to show you a few of these Christmas lights, these magical displays that you can see around Warsaw and other places. It's a nice visual aid to remind people that it doesn't have to be dark all the time, and if it's dark, let's make the most of it. Now, another thing you'll see are stands selling warm drinks. Now, this time of year, most countries will turn to, I don't know, hot chocolate, cocoa, something like that. Poland, well, they're a bit more adult about it. Sure, you can get your usual non-alcoholic things, but what you really want to think about is Jane Pivo, or hot beer, Jane Vino, or your hot wine. And these things are, well, they add lots of spices to give it that little extra flavor. I'd never had hot beer before coming to Poland, and I'm glad that I do. You can also get hot mead, various hot drinks. So this is another important thing. Oh, and hot cherry vodka is another key one. So this isn't active right now, but you also get ice rinks springing up all over Warsaw. These are actually pretty cheap. You can rent skates. Some people bring their own. It's better to bring your own. The queues to go on these things can be quite enormous at times, but it's another thing that people are actively doing to keep active this time of year. And of course, people turn to restaurants as well. This is one of my favorite restaurants in Warsaw, Basiliszek, in honor of the famous town monster, the basilisk. And in the restaurants, you tend to get a lot of, let's say, hot soups. So you stop in for a break, maybe you get some żurek, some rossel. It's a nice little way of warming you up during these hard times. And of course, a decent Polish meal is always going to fill you up and warm you up as well. Of course, Poland also has all the modern comforts. So you get plenty of people staying in, watching Netflix, playing computer games. But I'd say most Polish people are not so defeatist as to completely retreat indoors. But I can tell you places like Żabka probably see a lot more business at this time of year, as people can't really be bothered to walk to their local shop quite as much, and they turn to creature comforts. On one of the colder days, I think it was about -20, I thought, oh, I'll be lazy. And I ordered a pizza. Well, Domino's, they weren't delivering. I think they reached capacity of orders. And eventually I went with Pizza Hut, and something went horribly wrong with my address, but never mind. But it shows that people are definitely using online food delivery a lot more. But yeah, essentially I wanted to show you that countries like Poland are more prepared for the winter. For sure, when the first snow hits, you can probably expect a delay to trains, to trams, because the infrastructure to deal with this weather hasn't quite kicked into gear. But as you can see on these streets here, they've done a really good job of clearing the snow, even as it continues to fall. You have mandatory regulations for car owners where you have to switch to winter tires. Some people even put chains around their tires for, let's say, more icy and rural areas. But you can see, with the number of people out and about, Poland doesn't beat people down. It tries. History has proven that repeatedly. I lose count of how many times I've heard of cities being burned, people being killed, countries invading. So what's a little bad weather going to do to the Polish spirit? These are a determined people, and they're not prepared to let a little bad weather get in the way. And if all else fails, go to the mountains, escape to Bieszczady, One of the things that is very popular in Poland is winter sports. When people say that they go skiing here, it's not a flex like it is in the UK. It's not a case of some rich chap heading to the Hamptons or Switzerland or France. It's a case of normal people enjoying it as a normal activity. And one of the things you see as well, in the especially in places like Kampinos around Warsaw, some of the parks, is you have a lot of like cross-country skiers. For those not familiar with cross-country skiing, it's more of a light skiing activity, a lot more casual than your full-blown alpine slopes. But yes, I think I've covered how the winter affects us all, how Poland deals with this threat, and how beautiful the country can look, even if snow feels like torture after a whole week of it. So, why don't you tell me if I missed anything? How is this winter making you feel? What are the ways that you're doing to fight the depression, stay active, keep sane, and avoid wanting to go into some kind of panic over the collapse of global leadership? One thing I will say about Epstein before I finish this video, because I feel like I want to say something and I'm not going to do my full doom loop, is there are no Polish officials that have been, linked to the Epstein files. And Poland is one of the countries that is doing the best in Europe. I think there's a connection. I think you'll find a lot of very important people in a lot of countries are linked to those files. And that is why their countries are becoming so bad, because they're being blackmailed into taking decisions against their own people. And I'm not saying that Poland doesn't have corruption. I don't think you'll encounter a leader in the world who doesn't have some form of corruption, but I think Poland is still a bit more traditional in that sense, where, its leaders aren't prepared to sell out the country, at least not yet. And long may that continue, because if anything happens to this beautiful country, people need to burn. Take that how you will. But I've been a Brit in Poland, enjoying or surviving a wintry season. Looking forward to spring, hoping what people are saying about a hot summer is going to pass, but we will see. But yes, as always, please give the video a like. YouTube seems to hate me sometimes, at least the algorithm does. It's getting depressing. And please hit a subscribe to see more. And I meant to say this before, because there are actually a few people who contribute to my channel, and I don't think I really recognize them as much as I should do. But thank you. One name that springs to mind is Slavomir. I don't beg for money here. I kind of hope that YouTube will do its work in that department. But it all helps, funding trips, paying for those museum entries, paying for those national parks. But yeah, I understand everyone's poor, especially this time of year. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for everyone who continues to watch my videos. And plenty more to come. You're going to find no other English person has covered as much as Poland as I have. And I'm going to continue along that journey.